You, my friend, are amazing. You're talented, intelligent, and your personal hygiene, unmatched. If you're like most people, you love hearing things like that. But unfortunately, using too much of that language with our kids can seriously backfire. Today, we're diving deep into the surprising downside of self-esteem and exploring how to take a more balanced approach, one that can help your kids throughout their lives. I'll share 4 powerful tools that you can use to keep your kids grounded and happy even when they have to confront failing. So let's get to it. All right, let's talk about self-esteem. And to get us off on the right foot, let's make sure we're all working from the same understanding of what we mean when we use that term. Self-esteem is how much a person values themselves and their abilities. It's that inner feeling of being good enough or worthy. For good or for bad, we all have an idea in our head about how we measure up in the world. Now, it's important to point out that self-esteem isn't just one big unified thing. We definitely do have a broad and general view of ourselves, but self-esteem can also be influenced by different, smaller areas of our lives. Most people have high self-esteem in some areas and lower self-esteem in others. For example, you might feel super confident in your artistic abilities, but a bit shaky when it comes to math. Or your child might be a rock star on the soccer field, but feel shy and unsure in social situations. Having a wide range of situation-specific self-esteem levels is expected for most people. You put them all together, you get your general level of self-esteem. Now, we've always been told that high self-esteem is like a magic key to success, happiness, and basically every good thing in life. And to be fair, there's definitely some truth to that. Studies show that healthy self-esteem is linked to better relationships, stronger academic performance, and greater resilience, which is the ability to bounce back when bad things happen. Research by Morris Rosenberg, who is a pioneer in the field of self-esteem, found that individuals with higher self-esteem were less likely to experience anxiety and depression. His work showed that a whopping 75% of people with low self-esteem experienced symptoms of anxiety and depression, compared to only 25% of people with high self-esteem. Other research has found that people with higher self-esteem tend to have stronger social support networks, report greater satisfaction in their relationships, and are more likely to persevere in the face of challenges. And as you would expect, it's not just good for adults. Kids with good self-esteem tend to be more optimistic, more motivated, and better equipped to handle life's curveballs. And get this, a study published in the journal Child Development followed kids for 10 years and found that those with higher self-esteem in elementary school were 24% more likely to graduate high school and 30% more likely to pursue higher education. They were also 15% less likely to engage in risky behaviors like substance abuse. Who wouldn't want that for their child, right? But there's a catch. Self-esteem is often based on how we measure up to others or whether we meet certain standards. It's like we're constantly checking in with the self-esteem scoreboard to see how we rank. This can make our sense of worth feel fragile and contingent on external factors. Just like that extra serving of dessert can make you feel sick, too much self-esteem can also have some not so pleasant side effects. Think of it like this. When someone's self-esteem is super inflated, their ego can become a bit, well, fragile. Like a beautiful piece of crystal, they may look really good from the outside, but it doesn't take much to break them. This is where we run into a concept of what psychologists call threatened egotism. Research has shown that individuals with inflated self-esteem can become aggressive or defensive when their sense of superiority is challenged. In one study, researchers found that students with high self-esteem who received negative feedback were more likely to lash out at the person who gave them that feedback. They even showed increased levels of aggression in a completely unrelated task afterward. Now, I'm not saying that every confident kid is going to turn into a tiny tyrant, but it's important to recognize that genuine self-worth is different from an inflated ego. As Dr. Kristen Neff, a leading expert on self-compassion, puts it, self-esteem is often based on external validation and comparisons to others, while true self-worth comes from within. She actually shares a story about her son, Rowan, who was struggling with his self-esteem after not making the basketball team. She realized that constantly telling him how great he was just wasn't helping. Instead, she focused on helping him develop a more realistic view of himself, accepting his disappointment while still recognizing his worth as a person. So, how do we strike that balance? How do we nurture healthy self-esteem in our kids without accidentally tipping the scales towards egotism? This is where a concept called self-compassion comes in. Instead of judging ourselves harshly, self-compassion is about offering ourselves kindness and understanding, especially when we stumble or fall short. Think of it this way. Self-esteem is about judging yourself worthy, holding yourself up to a standard that you either meet or you don't meet. Self-compassion is about treating yourself kindly regardless of your perceived worth, regardless of whether or not you actually measure up to the standard that you've met, recognizing that we all fall short at times. Dr. Neff described it as treating yourself with the same kindness, concern, and support you would show to a good friend. You wouldn't lie to a good friend and tell them that they did well on something when they actually made a mess of it. You'd be honest, acknowledge that they fell short, and then follow it up with, but it's okay. Everyone falls short sometimes. In other words, self-compassion is about being honest with ourselves and helping our children learn to do the same. A healthy level of self-esteem requires a heaping dose of honesty. So, how do we go about cultivating self-compassion and a realistic self-view in our kids and, for that matter, in ourselves? Well, it starts with recognizing that everyone makes mistakes. I know we all say it, but we truly have to accept it. Instead of focusing on being the best, we need to encourage ourselves and our kids to embrace challenges, learn from setbacks, and see failures as nothing more than opportunities for growth. When they don't measure up, don't avoid acknowledging that fact. Just make sure you remind them that this gives us, all of us, the opportunity to learn, grow, and get better. Sometimes parents are resistant to the idea of admitting their own mistakes, especially when those mistakes involve their children, like when we lose our temper and snap at them. I know of no greater gift a parent can give their kids than showing them it's okay to make a mistake, say you're sorry, and then try to do better. That example will do far more than any combination of words will ever do. We can also help them develop a realistic inner voice. Imagine your child saying to themselves, "I'm so dumb, I'll never get this." That's an opportunity to teach them to replace those harsh self-criticisms with kinder, more rational words like, "This is tough, but I'm going to keep trying. If I keep working, I can get better." Another powerful practice is to help our children learn to be present-focused. Mindfulness is about paying attention to the present moment without judging the goodness or the badness. It's like hitting the pause button on those racing thoughts and worries. Studies have shown that mindfulness can help kids and adults manage stress, regulate emotions, and even improve focus. If you'll take a moment to think about the things that you truly worry about, you'll find that the vast majority are things that have either already happened in the past or things that you're worried about happening in the future. When we bring ourselves into the present moment, what we find is there's actually very little right now for us to be worried or stressed about. Let go of the past, don't worry about the future, bring yourself into the present moment, and help your child learn to do the same. To do this, you can try some simple mindfulness exercises with your children, like taking a few deep breaths together, focusing on the sounds that are around you, or even just noticing the sensations of your feet on the ground. When you use your 5 senses, you're always going to be focused in on what's happening right now because your senses can only tell you what's happening right now. Finally, don't forget the power of connection. When we feel connected to others, we're less likely to fall into the trap of self-criticism, comparisons, and unrealistic self-esteem or egoism. So make time for family meals, game nights, or even just cuddling on the couch and having a chat. Those moments of connection can do wonders for helping your child develop healthy self-esteem and self-compassion. And remember, parents, please remember, self-compassion isn't just for kids. we need it too. So model those healthy habits for your children. Show them that it's okay to make mistakes, to be kind to yourself, and to learn and grow along the way. All right, let's recap today's video with our 3-2-1. 3 things that I think are the most important takeaways, 2 minutes for you to think about how this information applies to you and to your family, and finally 1 thing that you're going to start practicing starting today. The first most important takeaway from today's video: self-esteem can be a very fickle friend, while self-compassion offers a more stable and sustainable path to well-being. Parents, I encourage you to help your children develop healthy self-esteem, but also add to that the concept and idea of self-compassion. Teach your children to be kind to themselves even when they fall short. Second point, true confidence comes from accepting ourselves, flaws and all, and believing in our ability to learn and to grow. We don't want to just teach our children to be kind to themselves. We want them to recognize that they still have a lot more learning and growing to do, and that's okay. Each of us falls short in many different ways, and each of us has many areas in which we can learn and grow. Getting better day after day is exactly what makes us so incredible as human beings. Parents, you play a crucial role in shaping healthy self-perceptions in your children. Don't forget how important it is for you to model these things in your own life. Your children are watching you. So help them to learn what it means to have good, healthy self-esteem, and then to also develop self-compassion. Show kindness to yourself when you fall short. Show that it's okay to admit mistakes and to accept those opportunities for learning and growing. Now, I'd like you to take just 2 minutes to sit and think quietly about how these concepts apply to you, your children, and your family dynamics. Are there any areas where you might want to adjust your approach or do things differently with your children? Finally, I want you to pick that one thing that you're going to start working on, the one thing that you're going to practice starting today. That brings us to the end of our video on the dark side of self-esteem. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video with any parents who might find it helpful. And as always, you've got homework to do, so I'm going to let you get to it. Take care. I have a special request for you. If you have any thoughts, questions, or comments about these videos or things that you would like to know, please let me know what's on your mind. Anything that you can share helps me as I strive to create the best content possible for all of you. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day.